All right, we started 13.3 last time, and just to rehash a little bit of where we came from, we talked about truth in lending. It was an act passed by Congress in 1968 that addressed two major issues. One, how can I determine how much interest I'm really paying? And then number two, if I pay something off early, how much less interest should I have to pay? Those are the two issues that were addressed. And we actually looked at, taking a look at this page 707 table. There is a number of months on the left-hand side of the table, and across the top of this table is the percentage rate, the actual APR. And inside of the table, we're going to work here in a little bit so we can see how that affects what's going on. Everybody good? All right, so 707 is an important table. It's the only one you're going to be needing for accessing. All right, problem number one, we talked about Ann and Andy from earlier. You guys remember them, right? They bought a refrigerator. I shouldn't say bought, they financed a refrigerator. And now they're going to finance a dishwasher because that worked out so well the first time. So they're going to go and they're going to do this for a dishwasher. We had a few pieces of information that we looked at last time. The original price of the dishwasher was $500. They paid $100 down. It's 6% add-on interest, and the time length on this one's 18 months. And I mentioned last time as well that this one's not a backdated one. So this is just, they're starting out financing it at 6%, just moving straight forward. So we don't have that other component that we had last time. Everybody with me? Okay. First question that we were talking about was the the amount financed. And we did this last time too. The amount financed was $400. And then the finance charge is always found by it's the interest amount, right? So you take the amount that they financed, in this case it was the $400. You take the interest rate, which is 6%, and then somebody tell me where the 1.5 comes from. That's the number of years, because this number of years was actually given in months as 18 months, so we turned it into years. Okay, so we're all at $36. Everybody good? Excellent. All right, we're taking a look at number 3. This is the first new information in this section. These parts A and B, if you're steps 1 and step 2, we've done that before. Okay, that's nothing new. Step 3 is different. Step 3 is finding a finance charge per amount financed. So let me show you first how we do that. We're going to give this the letter H, and H is found by taking the finance charge. That's what we got in step 2. And dividing it by the amount that we're going to finance. We take that value and we multiply by $100, and that will give us the amount of the finance charge per $100. Okay, that's why we're multiplying by the $100 at the end. Per $100. The first value is actually in essence sort of like a percent, but not as a percent, it's as a decimal expression, and then we're multiplying it by 100 to get an amount per $100. All right, so on this particular one, what was my finance charge? 36. What is my amount financed? 400. That's part A, or step 1. And then I'm going to multiply that by $100. So 36 divided by 400 times, divided by 400 times 100. What do you get? 9. It's exactly 9. Often not going to be exactly 9. Let's just put 9.00 just for the moment so we recognize that. All right, so step 4 is to use the table. You guys ready? That number we just found for H is an important value. We need that to be able to use my table. Okay, everybody good so far? Do you have it all written down, Yael? Not yet? Okay, let me know when I'm ready. Okay, so if you take a look at this particular table, using this table 5, we've got the months along the left-hand side. Does everybody see your months column, or look by a neighbor or whatever, so you see their paper? And across the top we have the APRs, okay? Inside the table are the H values, okay? So here's how you use this table. You go over here to the left column, and you go straight down the left-hand column until you find your number of months. And we're going to go down to what? 18. So you go down the column to 18 months. You take your hand and you go straight across that row, of 18 months until you find the H value that is the closest one in the table. It doesn't matter if it's lower or higher. We just want the one that's the closest. So visually, let me draw this on here for future reference. Visually, we go down the months column. We're going to look for 18, right, on this particular problem. We're going to go across until we find the closest thing possible to 9, and it's not 9 exactly. What is it? 8.93. So far, so good? Did everybody find the 8.93? Okay. Then you go back up to the top, so follow the 8.93 back straight up, so we're kind of doing a U-turn. And the value at the top is the APR. If you go all the way back up to 8.93 all the way back up, you find the APR value right here, and what is it? It is an 11%. Okay, so that will tell you the APR for this loan. So this loan's APR is not 6%, right? 6% was the simple interest rate, the add-on interest rate. The APR is actually 11% for this loan. All right? So our APR is 11%. Note, number one, it's more than the one before, yeah? That's always going to happen. But also note it's almost double on this particular one. Right? This is almost double the add-on rate. Yes, that is exactly what they would advertise as the add-on rate. So a little bit misleading, right? So what this table does is it addresses the first concern of that Truth in Lending Act. What's the real interest rate I'm paying? Because it sounded like it was 6%. That's what they advertised to me, like Tyler said. But we just found out that the real APR was actually 11%. Okay? Are you good with me? All right. Let's take a look at the other issue in the Truth in Lending Act, which was about unearned interest, right? It was about how much money I should save if I pay something off early, which should always be my goal. That'd be great, right? You pay it off early, you pay less money being the idea. So the question is, how do I decide, or how are they going to decide that I pay her less, okay? So there's two methods. The first one is the actuarial method. Again, this is all actually in your notes typed out, so if you don't have them written down, don't bother to write this down. You can print those out for Moodle Rooms later. Let's go through it, though. The actuarial method takes an installment loan, okay? That's like the car loan, the jewelry loan, the dishwasher loan, right? And it's paid off earlier than it's originally scheduled. Now, you'll notice that we've got some different letters occurring here. One of them you've actually seen. The one you've actually seen now is H, right? You know how to find the finance charge per $100. We just did that. But the two above that we haven't found before. R is the regular monthly payment. I take it back. We have found that before. We just haven't called that capital R. We found that on their refrigerator example last section. We found it was like $98, right? Their regular monthly payment. We've done that before. K is the amount of remaining number of scheduled payments after your current payment. That is how many payments you're going to avoid if you were to pay it off today. Okay? The number of payments that are not going to happen if I paid it off today. That's K. And then the way that we would find unearned interest is with this formula. So the K value, the number of payments that I'm not going to make, times the amount of money that those payments would have been each month. And then I've got the H value, which was the finance charge, and I divide that by 100 plus H, the finance charge, plus $100. And that will tell me how much interest I saved by paying something off early. That's what it'll do. Okay. Basically understand the idea. We've got a new formula we're working with. The pieces of the formula, we've worked with most of them. We haven't worked with a lowercase k, but it shouldn't be hard to find, right? If I'm working on a loan and it's supposed to be 48 months and I've paid 10 of them and I pay it off, I save myself 38 months of payments, correct? It's just a subtraction issue. All right, so we're going to take a look at a particular one. Oh, I'm sorry, one more formula before we get there. All right, an installment loan requiring regular monthly payments can be paid off early with the current payment if the original loan had K additional payments scheduled after the current payment The unearned interest is U. We just talked about how to find U a minute ago. And then the payoff amount is calculated as this. Okay, so this would be like what would happen. Let's say you had a car loan, okay, or whatever kind of loan you want to look at. We could talk about their dishwasher example here. You've got a car loan, and something happens, and your parents decide, because you've done such a good job this semester, they want to give you some money. Who would take it? Okay, well, Stephanie's the only one that would take it, so we'll use Stephanie as an example. Stephanie's going to take the money from her parents because they want to give her some money. I would too. And so the goal being, if you go and you want to say, okay, I want to get rid of this car loan now, how much would I need to have, how much would I need to take of that money to pay off my car loan? Well, one of the things that happens is that the bank would do something like this. This is one of the methods they can use to figure this out. All right? They can take the number of payments you have remaining, plus one more. That's what the K was. Remember, it's the number of remaining payments plus one more. Times that by your actual payment amount that you keep paying every month, like the $98 from the refrigerator example a couple of class periods ago. And subtract the unearned interest amount from that. And if they do this piece right here, and this is the same formula either way, then you can find out how much your payment amount would have to be today to have no more payments in the future. Okay. Sometimes they'll do this. I don't know if anybody's ever changed cars that you have loans on before. Has anybody ever done that? You owed money on a car and then you traded it in for a different one. Sometimes when you do that, what the bank will do, or the car lot will do, is they will call your bank, wherever your lending institution is for the first loan, and they'll ask, what's the payoff amount for this car? Right? And they'll have to do some negotiating on finance stuff to pay off the one loan before they issue you a new loan. This is what they're doing. This is one of the two methods we're discussing anyway for doing this. All right, so let's do an example. We're back to Ann and Andy. Ann got a new job, and it came with a signing bonus. Believe it or not, those do exist. All right, so she's fortunate she found a job with a signing bonus. And in an effort to get their finances under control, which sounds like a good idea based on this couple's history, they want to pay off the dishwasher early. They originally agreed to pay 18 months, and so far they've made 5 payments. Everybody with me so far? Okay, we're 5 months into this agreement that we have made, and we're taking a look at having the different situation happen where we've got some money to throw at this debt. All right, first question says, find the unearned interest using the actuarial method. Now, the unearned interest formula that we had above looked like this. It had U equals K times R times H over 100 plus H. All good so far? Now, one piece of this information we already know. Which piece do we already know? Okay, we know that one. I didn't think of that one. That's true. We actually know 2 pieces of information. So you know how many payments are left. So what is K? K is 13 because we've made 5 payments and there were 18 originally. Good. What else do we know?
The price of the dishwasher.
We do, but the price of the dishwasher is not K, R, H, or U.
Oh, the regular one.
Which one?
Because the regular monthly payment.
No, but we're going to find it in a minute. We know H. What was H, Alice? It was 9, right? Turn back the page for those of you who printed this out like you were supposed to. This over here we found right here on step 3 of the previous page. We found H, right? We used it then in a table to find the APR and so forth, yeah? H was right here. So H is 9, all right? So what we don't know then is R, but we can find it. How would we find R? What is R? It's your regular monthly payment. How would we find the regular monthly payment?
Find the amount financed divided by the loan service.
That's very close. It's not exactly the amount financed. What do you mean by the whole thing? Nope, because we paid $100 of it, so we don't need that 100.
Oh, the amount financed minus what you paid.
No, but you're getting closer. What did you have, Jesse?
400 and simple interest.
400, because that's the amount financed, which is what you said originally, Tyler. And then what more? The simple interest that we calculated, which was how much? 36, right? Yeah. All right, so we need to take the amount that we financed, which was the $400, plus the amount of the interest that we found from part, was it B or step 2? Yeah, so step 1, the amount financed. Step 2, the finance charge. Okay? Because that's what we owe. We owe the amount that was financed and the original finance charge that we signed signed on the dotted line and said we agreed to pay. So this is the 400 plus the 36 that we agreed to pay for interest, and then we're going to divide by what? 18. Why 18? Because that's how many months we agreed to pay it for, right? We agreed to, or they agreed to, an 18-month loan. They agreed to make 18 payments, once a month. All right, so everybody with me? Does everybody see where the 400, the 36, and the 18 all came from? Okay, good. So what is 436 divided by 18? 24.22. Yep. Okay. So we have everything that the right-hand side of this equation requires to find u, don't we? I believe so. It's 24.22. Yeah, I was running out of space. It's kind of tight. All right, so K is 13 times R, which is, that's H. This is the 24.22 first, right? And then I've got H, which is 9 over 100 plus 9, or 109 for that component. What did you get?
Did I do it wrong?
I think so. It should be more than that. I should have grabbed my calculator. I have a slightly smaller amount, but I might have an error too. When I have errors, I don't.
Oh, yeah, I got it different.
Yeah.
Okay, I got 22, well, and 9.
Well, this is not good because now I got two different
26.
answers. 26 or 22?
26.
26. Do I have a consensus? Was it 26 even, guys?
No, it's $25.997.
So 997 would round to 26 even, is what you're saying. Okay, make sure I'm hearing you right. So 26 like this. All right. So we have 26. Hang on just a second. I'm going to fix one thing. Oh, there's one error. That's what's giving me a number wrong. Let's take a look back up here and look at this more carefully. Did you read this? What was K? Was it?
Oh, no, it's the remaining, so you...
It's actually 12 on this one, yeah. It's the number of scheduled payments after the current payment we're on. So they've already paid 5 payments, which they're on payment 6, so there's 12 after that. I was wondering why I had a 12 written down there. That's why. Let's fix it. So let's change this 13 to a 12. Because it's supposed to be the payments that remain after the payment we're on. We've paid 5 of them. We're currently on payment 6. After current payment 6, we have 12 that we will not be paying on. Okay? Because, let me pause for a second. Because basically what we're saying is we're actually paying payment 6 right now along with whatever's left over. So we're making the 6th payment. There are 12 payments we won't be making. All right, so let's fix that. Do we get a 24? Okay, 24 is what I had written down. Perfect. All right, so we're going to save 24 of the $36, right? We were supposed to pay $36. We're going to save 24 of them. All right, so taking a look, we're going to find that payoff amount then. So we're now Ann. Ann has gotten this amount of money, and we're going to pay off the dishwasher. We need to know how much money to give that credit card company or the whoever to pay off that dishwasher. Okay? So find the payoff amount. And we had a formula for that too, didn't we? How do we find payoff? Okay? So K we decided a moment ago was what?
12.
It's 12. So this is actually going to give me 12 plus 1. That's the 13 we had from before that we were trying to use. What was R? $24.22. And we found out what U was in the last step. What was U? 24, right? All right. So this is 12 plus 1. This is 13 times 24.22 minus 24. What is the payoff amount that she needs to pay? $290.86. Okay? So she gets this bonus check in the mail, or the rich relative dies, or the whatever, and we're going to pay this off. We can go through these calculations to figure out how much money will actually do that for us, how much it will take to actually pay that off. Okay? All right. There is another method, however, for calculating this. Oh, let me make one comment more. If you take a look at this blue table, table 5, it's got a column that says number of monthly payments over here, this N down here, okay? You're going to have some problems in your book, and in particular, their problems are number 13 and 14, just so you know, 13 and 14. 13 and 14 talk about paying something off early, okay? And you need to know that the column over here, that's the number of months, is also corresponds to the letter K, the number of payments that we have that remain, okay? So it's labeled N in your book, and that's fine, but it also represents K when we're paying something off early. All right, so that's a difference in there that you need to be aware of. All right, one other way of doing this is the rule of 78. So again, we've got a closed-end loan requiring monthly payments like the dishwasher, like the car loan. It's paid off earlier than originally scheduled. F is the original finance charge, which we've worked with. N is the number of payments originally scheduled, which we've worked with. And K is the remaining number of scheduled payments after the current payment, which we've already looked at. So all of these are pieces that we've seen before. Okay? The difference is the unearned interest is calculated differently with this rule. You take the K value and you take K plus 1. You take the N value and N plus 1. And you do this ratio, this division. Then you multiply it by the finance charge. And this is another way of calculating unearned interest. Let me just say it's going to be close to the other value U. It's just a different calculation that some lending institutions will use. Okay? So jot that formula down. That's what you need for the next particular problems. And we're going to find that unearned interest in that payoff amount. Okay. K times K plus 1 over N times N plus 1 times F. Okay. Again, I don't care if you have the details above written down. You should be able to go grab those from Moodle. Do you have the formula written down? Okay, let's take a look. Same example as before. Still got Ann. She got her bonus check. She's paying this off, but she has an institution now that we're assuming uses the rule of 78 instead of the other actuarial method and does it this way instead. The benefit to this way is there's no table that's necessary. That's kind of nice. And we don't need H, which meant we wouldn't have had to calculate it earlier if we hadn't needed it for this particular purpose. All right? So the unearned interest says that I should take U, and it's going to equal K times K plus 1 over N times N plus 1 times F. So we're going to do the same thing I did on the previous slide. We're going to go through and identify each of these values. We already did this, but what's K? K is 12. Right? It's the number of payments after the one we're on. So if we're on payment 6, because we've already made 5 payments, we had 12 left. Number of payments that are remaining after the payment we're on. That's K. What would N be in this problem? That was 18. It's the original number of payments that we were supposed to make. And F represents what? 36, our finance charge, right? Again, the amount that we agreed to pay in interest for the luxury of paying this off instead of paying it one time. Okay, all good? These are nice numbers to work with because I have all whole numbers in this problem, which is awfully friendly. So I've got my k value, that's 12, times k plus 1, which would be 13, over my n value, which is 18, times 19, and then all of that ends up being multiplied by 36. Now do use some caution. If you try to enter this from left to right in your calculator, it very well may not really multiply these two on bottom. It might think, oh, I'm going to divide by the 18, and then I'm going to multiply this whole result by 19. You'll know because your calculator will give you some answer that makes no sense. It will look bizarre. But just be careful. Easiest thing to do is to do the multiplication separately. So I'm going to have you do that for me. What is 12 times 13? 156. What is 18 times 19? That was a 3. Didn't look like it at all. Let's try again. 342. And then multiplying by 36. So what is 156? Divide by 342 times 36. 1642. So if she uses this method, if her bank uses this method, she only saves $16.42 as opposed to 24 on the other one, right? I mean, the answers aren't like light years away, but she definitely has a different value that she's using for that unearned interest amount. So the last piece then is the payoff amount, and the payoff is done the same way. Payoff formula is the same no matter which method is used. What's the payoff formula? K plus 1, right, times R minus U. There you go. K in this one was 12. So this is 12 plus 1, or 13. R we found earlier was 24, 22. And U in this particular part of the problem was 1642. So multiply that through and then subtract the 1642. What's the payoff amount if her bank uses the rule of 78? Did I get that written right, Stephanie? All right. So if her bank uses the rule of 78, she has slightly more that she pays to pay this off. You don't get a pick. Your bank just uses what they use, okay? But this is another way that the bank can figure the amount of interest that you do not owe them any longer, bank or whoever it is that you borrowed the money from. Any questions? Yes, Shane? For the payoff amount, I believe so, because what it's doing is the way it's calculating the interest is calculating the interest as though you're paying equal amounts of interest every month instead of interest on the amount that's still owed. So I believe you will end up paying more with the rule of 78, which means that it would actually be to the bank's advantage, right, to use that particular method. Yeah. Any other questions on this one? All right.